Kakadosh Boketo Masechet Ketubot Daf Tet Amud Aleph 19a1. The Gemara was just talking about that there's a chazakah. What is a chazakah? Chazakah is that ena edim chotimim al ashtar ela im ken na'asa begadol, which means we have a chazakah that nobody is going to sign a document unless they're already bar mitzvah, right? Why? Because obviously, right, in the same thing, if they're going to be ktanim on the shtar, we're not going to believe that they were actually ktanim. It doesn't make sense. But anusim, my tama. If right now they come and they say that they were forced major, they were forced to do it, and if they weren't going to do it, they were going to be, whether it's going to be killed. So then why wouldn't we believe them? For sure we would believe them. So Amar Rav Chasta says Rav Chasta, Kasava Rabbi Meir says Rabbi Meir, that's what he holds. Edim shamru lahem chitmu sheker ve'al targu, yargu ve'al yichatmu sheker. According to Shitat Rabbi Meir, listen to this. According to Shitat Rabbi Meir, witnesses, if they are told to sign falsely, and if not, we are going to kill you, they should be killed and not sign falsely. So therefore, this is a Shita of Rabbi Meir. Yeah, 1 second. This is the Shita of Rabbi Meir. Now, it doesn't say here, some Rishonim actually come and they hold that the Kavanah of Rav Chasta is not that a person is obligated to give up his life, right? Because it's only the Shalosh Chamurot that he's going to be giving up his life. But the Kavanah is Lemaaseh, a lot of people will give up their lives, right? Because it's so powerful, swearing falsely, so they would do it, Mimidat Chasidu, they would give up their lives. And that's what Rabbi Meir comes and he says, a person is not believed to make himself into a Rasha, so he's not believed to come and make himself into that, which means like this. Once nowadays, we don't understand this, because nowadays the mouth became so worthless. People could promise, swear, they could do nothing. They were, nowadays it's worthless. But once upon a time, to make a vow, right, it was so powerful. I remember people would come and they would say, you know what? They have to go to Bedin, they have to swear. They prefer to pay the money, even though they know that they're exempt. They prefer to pay and not to swear. Oh, what's the problem? Swear. No. For them, it was like, you're swearing in the name of, you know what that is? Impossible. Impossible. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it.
Something smooth in it that.
So Elmaleh Rava comes and he says, "Ya hashta ilu atu lekamal limluche amnina lehu zilu chatom v'lo taktilun." I don't understand you. If they would come and ask us, should we sign this document or not? Right? They're coming to Bedin. They're going to ask us. We're going to tell them no. Amnina lehu. We're going to tell them zil chatom v'lo taktilun. We're going to tell them go sign and don't get killed. Amar mor. There are only 3 capital punishments. What are those? Now what? Now when they're going to sign, we're going to tell them, why did they sign? It doesn't make sense. What's going on over here? But rather, the reasoning of Rabbi Meir is for a different reason. It's for like Rav Huna Amar Rav. The Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav, it says Rav Huna Amar Rav, Modeh bishtar sheketavo en tzarich lekayim. When the loveh comes and he's modeh in a shtar, he admits that this document is not forged and that he actually borrowed the money. But then afterwards he says, but I paid back. You don't need to be mekayim the chatimot in order to collect the document, right? Because even though the shtar is mekayim only al pi the loveh, we don't say a pesha asaru a peshitir, but rather when mekablim ma loveh, that the shtar is not mezuyaf, and not that he paid back the document. Okay? Because if he paid back, so then why does the malveh still have the document in his hand? So he's not believed against, right, the fact that the other one has a document, but he is believed the fact that it's a good document, which means like this. It's like this is what we call palginan dibura. What is palginan dibura exactly? We're splitting up the testimony. The loveh comes and he says, yes, this document is a good debt document. I borrowed money from Mr. So-and-so, but I paid him back. So now we don't need the witnesses to come and say whether it was good or not good. We don't need the witnesses. It's nothing to do with the witnesses or not. Yeah, we don't need them. Why? The second that he says it's a good debt document, that's it. We don't need anything else. But now what happens? He says, I didn't pay him back. 1 second. Why does the malveh, the lender, still have the document in his hands? The fact that he still has the document in his hands, he's believed. You're not believed. And therefore, to do with that, he's not going to be believed. And therefore, even if they come and they say they were anusim, we don't need them. Why don't we need them? Because at the end of the day, we have the loveh. The loveh said it was a good debt document. That's it. We don't need anything else. So Guf Amar Ravuna Amar Rav. Says Ravuna in the name of Rav. Modeh Masechet Ketubot and Tzarich Lekaymo. What did we just say? We just said that if somebody's going to be modeh in a document, right? A Masechet Ketubot, that it was written. So you don't have to be mekayem and say you don't have to come and start trying to find out about the signatures. So Elmaleh Rav Nachman says Rav Nachman to Ravuna, Ganuve lamalach. He says, why are you going to be mitganev to say adin from yourselves? And why didn't you say that was a machloket between Rabbi Meir and Chachamim? Right? Why are you saying it on your own? Say, right, that this is a machloket between Rabbi Meir and Chachamim. So, now if you hold like Rabbi Meir, just say the halacha is like Rabbi Meir, and that's it. So Elmaleh says, so he says, okay, fine, but how do you hold? What do you hold? So he went and he told him, Elmaleh, he told Rav Nachman says to Ravuna, Kiatu lekaman ledina, when they come to the deen, yeah, Amrina leu, we tell them, Zilu kainu shtaraichu vechotu ledina. Go be mekayem the shtar, right? And then come to the bedin. But if not, even if the loveh is going to be modeh, that the shtar is not mezuyaf, he could say, I already paid it back. So therefore, it comes out that they hold like the halacha is like hachamim, right? And that's actually the halacha. That if the loveh says that he paid it back, or he says another ta'ana that exempts him, right? So then the malveh could come, so and he cannot collect it al pi shtar until it's going to be mikayam, which means until they're going to come and verify the signatures. So therefore, the first thing that he does is go verify the signatures. You came with a document, verify the signatures. Once it's verified, now let's talk. Okay? So says the Gemara, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, says Rav Yehuda the name of Rav, Haomer shtar amana hu zeh. What happens if a person comes and he says that this is a shtar amun, right? Amana. What is a shtar amuna exactly? A shtar amana was that I didn't actually borrow the money, but it's a shtar that I give it that if you need to borrow, you could borrow. Okay, but it's not actually that they borrowed. It's like a document that's preparing for it, but he didn't actually borrow the money. Eino money is not believed. The kamarman, who's the one that's saying that this is a shtar amana? If you're going to tell me, if you're going to tell me that it's the loveh that's saying it, pshita, kol kemine, is he believed to come and say, nega the shtar that has a deen, that it's not a real shtar? Imagine right now you bring a document to the courts, and we say, no, it never actually happened. It's just to prepare it to show that he believes me. They're going to tell you what? You have a document, witnesses, you have everything, and now you're going to tell me that it wasn't a real document? It's just a shtar amana kilu emuna, that I noten imun becha. You understand? I noten imun becha, that I believe you. So he says, it can be. Veled de kaman malveh. So he says, 1 second, right? He says, it's going to be the malveh, which means it's a lender. So, right? 1 second. He should get a bracha. Imagine right now, somebody has a document, and I come and I say, no, it's not a real document. They're going to say, Chazak u'baruch. Why? I just saved the guy money. Ela de kamni edim. So who is it then? It's the edim that are saying this, right? So says the Gemara, 1 second. If you could verify their signatures from somewhere else, so pshita delo mehemni, for sure they're not going to be believed. Because remember, once they come and they testify, if I could verify their signatures from somewhere else, there's no apesha asar or apesha itir, which means that that's it. They cannot come and go against their own words, right? If it doesn't come out from somewhere else, then yes, but if not, no. So why are you not going to believe them? So here it says there's going to be a siman of ba'esh. Let's see what this siman exactly is. It's going to be Rava, Abaye, and Ravashi. Okay? That's why Rava is the bet, Aleph is Abaye, and Shin is the Ravashi. So Amar Rava comes and he says, Leolam de kama loveh. Really, it's the loveh that says it. So the loveh comes and he says, this is the shtar amana. And like Rav Huna, the Amar Rav Huna Rav says Rav Huna in the name of Rav, Hamodeh bishtar shekitavo. If somebody is going to be modeh in a shtar, in a document, which he wrote it, you don't have to be mekayem it. So same thing, right? He doesn't have to be mekayem. So the fact that he doesn't have to be mekayem, right? Because the loveh is not saying, right? What is he saying? He's not saying that he's not believed to say that it was parua, that it was paid back, right? Even with the pesha asar. So therefore, the same thing. Rav Yehuda is saying even when the loveh comes and he says the shtar amana, he's not believed because even the koach of the pesha asar is not believed because it's very difficult to say that it's a shtar amana. That's the first answer of Rava. Second answer, Abaye. Abaye comes and he says, Leolam daman malveh. It wasn't the loveh, it was a malveh, it was a lender that comes and he says, Shtar amana. Right now, 1 second. If it's a lender, so we said Tavola Bracha, Chazak Baruch. He came to the Beddin and he comes and he says it's not a real document. Chazak Baruch. You have to bless him. You say, you know what, Kol HaKavod, you admit, because he could have collected money, he could have taken everything. Right? He kept it up. It's not a good document. So he says, no, but Kegon Shechav La'acherim. But it was Chav La'acherim. What does that mean? Right? Really, Be'emet, he's making other people lose out. Because, for example, let's say he owes money. The Malveh. Meaning the Malveh lent money to Mr. A. And now he had to borrow money from Mr. B. And the Bedin want to come and they want to collect from the Malveh. And he doesn't have money. Why? They want to collect from Mr. B. And he doesn't have money. So now they say, okay, fine, but did you lend money to anybody? Yeah, to Mr. A. So they're going to come and they're going to say, okay, we're going to take the money from Mr. A and we're going to give it to Mr. B. But all of a sudden he comes and he says, no, it was a shtar amana. It wasn't a real document. So the fact that they're going to say that it wasn't a real document, so therefore, what does he say? Right? He says like Rabbi Natan. The time was going to Rabbi Natan, Omer Minayin l'noshe b'chavero mana b'chavero b'chavero minayin shemotzi mizeh v'notenu l'zeh. Lomar v'natan la'asher hashamno. This is called Shibuda de Rav Natan, which means like this. Let's say, right, I come and I lend Ronen money. And then Ronen comes and he lends Dr. Jean-Paul money. What happens? They could come directly right back to me, meaning that they skip the middle person. They could skip it. Because at the end of the day, what happened, right? They owe me money. Now, who owes me? It was Ronen. But I skip Ronen and I go straight to John Paul. Because John Paul owes Ronen. So therefore, John Paul pays me. That's called Shibuda de Rabbi Natan. That comes from Rabbi Natan, that I could go straight to the third one, because he owes him and he owes me, that I could come and I could come and I could actually collect the money. Now Vashi comes and he says, now the third answer. What is the third answer? Leolam de kamri edim. So again, we had all three choices now. We had the loveh, that was Rava. We had the malveh, that was Abaye. And the third answer of Vashi, the edim are saying it. Then ktav yadam yotzei mimakom acher, that we cannot verify their signatures from somewhere else, and therefore they're going to be believed because of Pesha Saru Peshitit. So we asked, why aren't you going to be believed? So the Rav Huna like Rav Kahana. The Amar Rav Kahana, but says Rav Kahana, Sulu lo adam sheishe shtar amana betoch beto mishum shneimar al tashken be'olech havla. You're not allowed to have a shtar amana in your house. Why are you not allowed to have a shtar amana in your house? Because it says in the pasuk, al tashken be'ohalecha. Don't leave in your house an avla, an iniquity. What exactly is this avla exactly here? This avla, right? The Amar of Sheshat, look in Yutet Amumet, Berei de Rav Idi, Shema Minam de Rav Kahana, right? Edim Shamru, Amana Yudevarenu, and Emanim. They're not going to be believed. My Tama, what's the reasoning? Kevan de Avlahu, Avla Lochatmi. People are not going to sign on something which is an avla. What does it mean an avla? It's something which is like iniquity, something which is bad. Because if you have a document which something bad could come out through this document, what's something bad? At the end of the day, they could come and they could collect with it by accident because it's a document that says that you owe money to somebody. Now, it never actually occurred. It never transpired. So that's called an avla. It's something bad. So therefore, since it says al tashken be'olech avla, you're not allowed to have such a document in your house. So therefore, Edim would never sign in such a document because it's something never happened. If it never happened, why in the world would they sign in such a thing? It does not make sense. So because of that, that's why he says, right, the Edim are going to come and they're going to be believed because it doesn't exist. No, not the Edim are going to be believed. The Edim are not going to be believed because even though they have a Pesha Asar or a Pesha Itid, we will never believe them that they would sign on such a document because something negative could come out from such a document. And this is what the Gemara is now going to say. Not only is it an avla ashtar amana, this is also going to be an avla. Amar Rabbi Yishom Levi asur l'adam sheishe shtar parua betoch beto mishum sheneimar al tashke ba'olech avla. Let's say somebody went and you lent money to someone. They came and they paid you back, and you have a document in your house, right? That you lent money to somebody. If you leave it in your house, it's called a shtar parua. Parua means they paid it back. Yeah. So what happened? If you leave it in your house, you're over on the avera al tashken be'olech avla. Why? Because afterwards they could collect with it again in the second time. Whether it's going to be maybe inheritors, maybe he himself, he's going to forget that the guy paid back. He's going to come collect. He's got the document. It's a problem. So therefore, it's a asur. In Ma'arava in Eretz Yisrael, in the name of Rav, they said, Im aven biyadechar chikehu. If you have an oven, if you have something bad in your hands, distance it. What is referring to? Zeshtar amana ushtar pasim. Shtar amana, we already explained what it was. Shtar pasim was shtar piusim. That basically you're coming and you're making like a peace treaty document. That you're coming and you're writing a shtar chov on himself. Keilu, you're obligated to money, right? Keilu, to show that you're rich. So you come and you start writing this document. However, though, right, it doesn't exist. So because of that, that's called, right, the aven biyadechar chikeu distance, shtar amana and shtar pasim. That is a document which is going to be parua. What does it mean, parua? Already paid back, right? So therefore, in any of these cases, these are the three different documents that we said, very problematic. Okay? So mandamar shtar parua, the mandamar that says the pasuk avla refers to shtar parua, kol sheken shtar amana. So the more so that it's going to refer to an shtar amana, because a shtar amana is even yoter chamur, it's even worse than a shtar parua. Because at least the shtar parua, it actually did occur. The only thing is he paid back, right? Fine, but this one never occurred at all. Mandamar shtar amana, but according to the mandamar that called shtar amana a shtar avla, shtar parua is not called a shtar amana. Because sometimes the malve is going to save it until the love is going to pay the money to the sofer, which means, right, that basically what happened was that the malve paid instead of the love. When you borrow money, you have to pay for a document. Once upon a time, they used to go, and nowadays also many times, they would pay lawyers' fees. Why? You want to make sure that it's done properly, not just on a piece of paper, I owe you money or I borrow money from you. They want it, binding, legally binding. So what do? You go to a lawyer. Who pays for the lawyer's fees? So obviously it's the borrower, not the lender. Why in the world would the lender pay money to lend you money? Right? It doesn't make sense. It's obviously the borrower. So what happened here? Here, the borrower did not have money. So the lender paid it instead of him. So the lender has the document. And now it could be that he left the document by himself, by him, meaning like by him. Why? In order to make sure that the lender is going to pay the money. And once the lender pays the money to the sofer, then he could get rid of the document. So that's why he's actually leaving it by himself. He's leaving it by him. So Itbar Nami was also stated, Sefer Shenu Mugai. Imagine right now you have a Sefer, whether it's a Sefer Torah, Nevim, Oktuvim, any type of a Sefer Shel Kodesh, which is not Muga. They never tested it, whether it's actually checked it to make sure whether it's going to be kosher or not kosher. So Amar Rabbi Ami says Rabbi Ami, you're allowed to leave it for 30 days. After 30 days, you're not allowed to leave it. But it says in the pasuk, right? Which means that more than 30 days, it's already considered an avla, right? What does that mean? That means in the olden days, imagine right now you had, for example, let's say you have a Sefer Torah. And imagine if after 30 days you didn't check it, and now people are going to think that it's already kosher. So if something happens, or they borrowed it, or they took whatever it is, they're not going to start thinking now that something happened or it was never checked. It was like a chizkat kasher. So because of that, they just wanted to make sure. Okay? So this is another case of al tashkim ba'olecha avla. Okay? So Amar Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman, Edim shamru amana hayu devarenu. Witnesses that come and they say, amana hayu devarenu, that everything that we did was amana en nemanim. They're not going to be believed that they went and they signed on this shtar amana. Moda'ah hayu devarenu. If they came and they said that they signed, right, on shtar moda'ah, which basically a shtar moda'ah is basically a document, right, of a gilui da'at that they didn't want to actually sell something, but they were forced, right, to sell it. And they're not going to be believed, right? Why? Because at the end of the day, right, a moda'ah, they are believed. What is a moda'ah? They come and they say, listen, we were forced to sell. So many times they do that because, for example, somebody would come, right, and he would force you to sell them something. Now, Behemet, you didn't want to sell it to them. So what happens? So you would come and you would say, listen, it's not a good sale, but you're not going to believe. So what do? You write a shtar moda'ah. So the shtar moda'ah is going to be, right, is basically going to be that the shtar moda'ah is going to basically be that, how do you call this? That that you're basically saying that everything that I'm going to sign now on this document, I don't want the sale. And then afterwards, if you come to the Bedin with this shtar moda'ah, which obviously precedes the shtar mechira, so then what's going to happen is you're going to be believed. And therefore you're going to annul, right, the sale. Okay, that's what the Gemara actually says.
Who is he signing this?
More Baravashi comes and he says, Amana yudvarenu en ne'emanim. If they say that they signed on a shtar amana, they're not going to be believed. Moda yudvarenu ne'emanim, they are. My tama, which means like this. You're allowed to write a shtar moda. And the fact that you're allowed to write a shtar moda, so therefore it's going to be okay. But here, you're not allowed to write a shtar amana. So therefore, if they come and they say that I wrote a shtar amana, they're not believed because you're not supposed to write it. But if they have a shtar moda, they are supposed to write it. So therefore, they're going to be believed. So by Mine Rav Nachman, ask Rava from Rav Nachman, Tanaya Yudvarenu. What about if they come and they make a Tanai? Which means that there was a condition. What's halacha? Yeah, what does that mean? We don't know if the purchaser can fulfill this condition. Are they believed? Right? Why? Because now you have the Ktav Yadam coming from somewhere else. Also, are we going to say that, listen, that they cannot be soter, the dut which is in the shtar, right? Just like, or no, that may be the yes. It means basically they're coming and they're signed on a shtar mechira, but all of a sudden they come and they say, but there was a t'nai on it. And we don't know if they fulfilled the condition. So modava amana inutama, the reason why modava amana is the reason in the ka'akre le'lishtara, because they're completely uprooting the document. Behind nami sotu here, ka'akre le'lishtara, they're uprooting the document. Why are they uprooting the document? Because if they now say that there was a condition made balpeh, right? There was a condition made, and it's not on the document, so then the entire document is worthless. Or dilmar, maybe t'nai min ta'charit, maybe you're going to tell me that a condition is something else, and therefore has nothing to do with anything else. So Elmaleh comes and he answers, when they come in front of the deen, we tell them right away, Zilu came in tonight, who go fulfill your tonight, the chotu ledin, and then come, right, and then come back to the deen. Right? Why? Because if you're going to come and he's going to be me'akev the mesirat karka, it means that the witnesses are going to be believed. Okay, so here it says that obviously the shtar was mitkayim only through a deen. The pesha asar, right, is going to be believed. But when the shtar is mitkayim without them, so then they cannot add on any t'nai, because then you don't have the pesha asar or pesha itit. Okay? So now it says the Gemara as follows. Ed echad omer t'nai. Ved echad omer eno t'nai. What happens if you have the two witnesses, they come to the bedin, and one of them says it was written with a condition, and one of them says it was written without a condition. So you have a machloket between the two edim. Was there a condition along this debt or the sale or whatever it is, or there was no condition? So says the Gemara of Papa says, Tarvaihu b'shtara me'alia kamesade. He says both of them are coming and they're testifying that it's a good document. Yeah? And therefore, right? So basically they're both modim that the shtar is emet. Right? Now what happens? So why is he saying that there was a t'nai? It's only going to be one witness that he's coming to uproot the document. So one cannot go against two. Basically, even though there are two witnesses on the document, yeah, and these two witnesses come, and now we have to find out, is it a good document? They both say it's a good document. One of them says there was a condition. One of them says there was no condition. So therefore, the ones that said it was a good document are two edim. Who says, right, that there's a t'nai? One ed. So one of those edim, he's going against two. That's what he's saying. Ben dvarav shel echad imkom shnayim. So matkif la Rav Huna ber Rav Yeshua. So Rav Huna ber Rav Yeshua comes and he asks the following question: Ihachi, if so, afilu tarvaihu nami. So he says, so one second, even if both of them, right, are going to come and say that there's going to be a t'nai, they shouldn't be believed, right? Why? Because since they testified that it was a good document, right? So therefore, now when they come and they say that there was a t'nai, right? Once they testify, that's it. Right? There's a document. There's not written anything on the document. Kaddish. That's it. So rather we say that these witnesses are coming, and they're coming to be oker the edut of the kiyum. So so to here they're coming to be oker the edut. They're uprooting the edut that this should not be accepted. So since right now, right, they are believed to actually come and say on their signatures. Right? It's only basically that there's only going to be one ed, which is testifying. So he's not going to be believed. The hilchata, what is halacha? Like Rav Huna ber Rav Yeshua, that the ed that says that the t'nai mekach is kayam is ne'eman, and the one that's in therefore the lokach cannot come and do it, right? He cannot receive it, right? And yochol livot until he's going to be mekayem the t'nai. So sikun, let's give a summary, right? So the summary is like this, right? We just finished the entire concept to do with witnesses, which are coming to be mekayim their signatures. They're coming to verify their signatures. First of all, right? Enam yicholim listor or leshanot et edutam shebishtar le'achar shenitkaim hashtar which means like this. The second that they verified the signatures, they cannot change or retract or do anything against it. That's it. The second they verify the signatures, Kaddish. Number two, they cannot make themselves into a Rasha. Right? What is it? They cannot make themselves into a Rasha. If Betin came and they already verified the signatures from somewhere else, the Edut is Edut Gemura, and therefore the Edei Ashtar cannot testify anything. Right? They cannot do anything. Nothing. Okay? Number two, okay, if the Khatimot are going to be mitkaimim only through the Edim themselves, okay, so then a Pesha Asar or a Pesha Yitir, they could come and they could be oker, right? That's what it's saying here. They could come, they're not allowed to be oker and kayem livsolet ashtar, right? Why? Because then they're making themselves reshaim. So the fact that they're making themselves reshaim, we don't believe them. Okay, so that was number two. Number three, if they come and they say that the shtar is a shtar amana, or that he wrote a moda'ah, which basically is that they were obligated to do the sale, right? They're not believed, right? Why? He says over here, because since, right, they agree that the shtar was written kalacha, they cannot come and balpeh to uproot their testimony that was already mitkayem. Okay, so therefore it doesn't help. That's according to Shitat Rav Nachman. Number four, if they came and they said that there was a tnai balpeh, they are believed because they are not soter the previous edut. They're adding on to it, and they're allowed to add on to that which was written because of a pesha asar or peshiti. Number five, which is the last one, in any case, the demon are going to be believed, right? To say edut, which is going to be posel l'shtar, or to magbil they have to actually testify an edut tok kede dibur of the kiyum, which means that it has to be immediately after they verify the signature. Within 2 seconds, they come in 2-3 seconds, they come and say, but it was another condition. But it was meaning they have to do it within immediately. They cannot come and afterwards, after 10 minutes or after a day. Or no. It has to be done immediately. So those are the exact things that we just mentioned. So now the Gemara says, we learned in the Braita, Shnaim chotmim al shtar v'metu. Imagine right now you have two people that sign on a document and they die. Ubau shnaim min hashuk v'amru. So two people come from the shuk and they say, Yadanu shektav yadam hu. Now we know that these people, that this is their signatures. But they were forced, or ktanin, or children, or psulei edut, or they were pasul. Harelu nemanim, they're going to be believed. Why? However, though, if right now there's witnesses, right, that this is a ktav yadam, or they have another way to verify the signatures from some other document, mishtar, right? Whether it's going to be, for example, let's say there was a document, that there was an irud on the document, which means somebody came and they said that it was not a good document. And then they made a chazakah betin, that means they went and they verified it already. So now they're not believed. Why? If you do not have a pesha asar, these witnesses are not believed. They came and they said these are their handwriting, right? This is their signatures, but they were whatever. No. Depends. If right now they have a pesha asar or peshitil, they're believed. They do not have it, they're not believed. So it all depends on the circumstances. So says the Gemara, right? So he says, are you going to tell me now that you're going to accept it, you're going to collect from it, just like a shtar kasher? Why? This is considered treu trei. What does that mean? Is that chasha of 2 against 2. You have 2 which are coming to disqualify the document, against the 2 which are written on the document. So if so, the entire document is a safek. So why do we say that for sure it's going to be a kosher document? It's a safek. We don't know. So answers the Gemara, Rav Sheshat says, so we see from here, hachasha is tchilat hazamahi. Hachasha, which means when you have 2 against 2, that is the beginning of hazama, which means it's like hazama. It's not 100%. Remember, hazama means that you completely uprooted the entire document, because he said, how did you sign the document? You guys were with us somewhere else. So that's called hazama. But hachasha is 2 against 2. When you have contradictory evidence, you have 2 against 2. And just like you cannot do hazama unless the witnesses are there, because how could you come and you say to the witnesses, you guys were with us somewhere else, how did you testify? They have to be there, they have to be present. So too, when you do a chasha, it's only when they're present. And since these 2 people already passed away, obviously it's going to be a completely different halacha. We'll continue tomorrow.